Well, that's a phony baloney excuse as far as I'm concerned. If I was a lawmaker in Indianapolis and my leadership was not allowing me to vote on this, I'd be speaking out. I'd be calling newspapers. I'd be issuing press releases. I'd be putting the pressure on that leader to allow a vote. And I would be sure and say to the general public that I favor this tax cap. If their leaders won't allow them to vote, and you're right, some are using that excuse, it's time for them to speak up. They pick the leaders. They need to change leadership. And I agree with them. I think it should be 1% across the board. But if we don't get this tax cap passed this year, it'll never, ever happen again. The legislature will have to start all over again. Once it's passed and in place, I'm all for trying to then go back and bring commercial and rental down to the 1%. But right now, it's just important to get passed. Even if you limit the increase in the assessed value, if you don't put a cap on the amount of property taxes, the property taxes can keep going up and up and up. Let me give you an example. If you keep a home at 100,000, but you allow the taxes to go up to 3, 4, or 5%, keeping the home at 100,000 doesn't help you. I believe that both of these issues need to be tackled by the legislature. Number one, the caps, and number two, how fast the assessment can rise. But they don't, one doesn't depend on the other. Those in Indianapolis right now that are talking about pushing this assessment are the same people pushing limiting how fast it can go up on assessment are the same people that have been against these caps and against putting these caps in the Constitution from the start. Well, how much are you going to tax property? I mean, can government just keep costs keep going up forever and ever, and we increase the amount we tax homes to 2, 3, 4, 5%? I say no. It depends on how you look on the home. I look on the home as something, and home ownership as something we should encourage, and especially encourage for young couples starting out, and protect when older people retire and want to live in a home they've paid for. So I'm not so concerned about government. I'm concerned about protecting the home. I don't think the two arguments necessarily buy into each other. If you're gonna take the argument that we can't stop taxing because of government's increased costs, then I think we're lost. Well, first, let me tell you this. Those people that are arguing that we don't need this in the Constitution because it's law are the same people that are basically against this. They are against the caps. They are what I call the elected lobbyists for government and more government. Now, if it's just law, within 1 year it can be changed. Let me give you an example of that. The same year these caps were passed, there was a law passed in Indiana requiring major building projects to be put to the general public by referendum. The very next year, the majority of legislators in the House voted to do away with that referendum vote. Thankfully, it wasn't done away with because they couldn't get it through the Senate, but it shows you how quickly something that's just a law and not in the Constitution can be changed. The only way the people in Indiana, that homeowners in Indiana, are going to get permanent protection that they can feel safe with is to get this in the Constitution.